Hello boys, how are you? I'm well, thank you for asking. This is a shape-shifting hybrid druid build. Now it's a bit different to some other ones that I've seen around, so I'm pretty excited to show you this one. This is the polar bear. That's what I'm naming it, the polar bear, because you know the Brunsky named his one the Reaper Wolf, and now everyone's talking about the Reaper Wolf. This one is the polar bear. Okay, so remember that. Copyright. Now, what makes this unique? So, what makes this unique, boys, is we are using Doom and Night Wings to amp up our cold damage, and this Doom also gives us a decent amount of physical damage. So with this, we are going to be using Hurricane with decent damage and synergies, and then using Werebear with Maul and Shockwave. Have I sold you on it enough? Let's get into it, boys. Fucking stats, skills, gear, what have you. See what Ellie boy is doing, and then we'll get into it. Level 84 Druid, strength is 156, enough to wear Monarch, which we have on Switch. Dexterity is 95, which is what we need for the Thresher requirement, and then the rest into Vitality. Using like the shape-shifting skills, I think I might have covered it before, like a lot of the skills, they have their own additional attack rating bonus, so with enough skills and coverage, we're kind of good, and I picked up where I needed to on not only resist, but also attack rating as well, so I can show you that in a second. Other relevant stats, we have DR by 15, which is cool, 14 lifesteal, which is cool. Further down here, we do have 85 increased attack speed, so we have a good chunk. We have a bit of faster run walk, some from charms, which if I could get more, I would. I always recommend faster run walk with shape-shifting builds to help with mobility. Further down here, we do have a little bit of open wounds. We've got 35, only 15 crushing blow, which is coming from Gore Riders, but we do still have 66 deadly strike, which I'm pretty happy with. Tucked down the bottom here, you can see, boys, goddamn, this fly is still in my room. I have 20% to cold damage and minus 59 to enemy cold resistance, which is coming from the Doom. The Doom. So, skills. What have we got? I have 1-point wonders all the way down to summons, in case I want to use them. I found that when I play, these ones kind of end up dying, but I mainly just did it for the Grizzly, for certain scenarios, and for Oak Sage if I want an extra help in places. If you prefer Heart of the Wolverine, then, you know, you can do that, boys. That's cool. You know, won't get mad. Now, for the shape-shifting, some people may disagree with this, and that's totally fine. You know, that's totally fine. So I have 1 point into Lycanthropy, 1 into Werewolf, and I have Werebear is maxed out. I have split between Maul and Werebear. So, sorry, I've got Werebear is 15. Sorry, not maxed out. I got 15 and I've got 10 here. So as I level up, I do plan to max Werebear first and then further invest into Maul. So 15 and then 10. And I've only got 1 point into Shockwave here. So with this, it gives us a stun length of 7 seconds, which is amazing. And the radius is like, it's fucking sick, bro. So what we do is we shockwave everything, we stand within hurricane range, and everything dies while we're slapping and get our stacks up with Maul. I'll show you that shortly. Rest of our skills in Element, we've got 1 into Arctic Blast as always, we've got 1 into Cyclone Armor, and we're maxing out these 3 down the bottom for max damage on Hurricane. I did consider putting points into Cyclone Armor just to put up an extra, just to increase the duration. It's like, if you want to do that, that's fine, but for me, and like, it seemed I couldn't really justify it enough. Putting points into Cyclone Armor, sure, you can absorb a little bit more. It's only going to give us seconds. It's not going to give us any more cold damage. So maybe if I'm like a lot higher level, but I'm only level 84 at the moment. So I'd rather just do 1 and then max out these for max damage. The downside is the duration is 12 seconds, so you do need to make sure you just, you know, just refresh that Hurricane every time you walk into like another elite pack. That's about the skills. We'll show Alley Boy real quick. We've got Andes, Fortitude, and Infinity. So this is going to be amping up as much cold damage as we can get. I mean, aside from that, you could go like a Decrepify route if you wanted to. It depends on what kind of, you know, that's the cool thing about these hybrid builds, right? There's a lot of options. You can choose, do you want to have more physical like more of a physical priority or more of an elemental priority, and I felt like I was pretty happy with how the physical damage is on this, so I went Infinity. And he does have might, so, I mean, that's helping us on the physical front too, right? Now, my gear. What do we got? So, I've got my beautiful, my Doom Thresher. So, this thing here, I rolled in a 15 ED base. I've got over the maximum cap, which is like 370. Pretty happy with that. Minus enemy cold res rolls up to minus 60, so minus 6% off there. Pretty damn good as a melee weapon. Yeah, boy. Next. Nightwings. So, +2 to all skills. I have 15 cold damage with a perfect facet in here, which I'd recommend for this build. Again, as I said, you know, if you're making a hybrid like this, you don't need to follow like my build or someone else's build like to the T. Choose what is comfortable for you if you want to have more of a cold preference or more of a melee preference. For example, for like the Helm, right? If you go to like something like a Jalal's, that can work perfect as well. It's totally more viable as a physical preference one. You've got shape-shifting skills, more defensive stats and everything. And you can even put a cold facet or like an Umber in for more resistances, right? So it's definitely an option. For me, I wanted to get more cold resistance because I was happy with the physical. So carrying on with past the Nightwing, so we got High Lords for more deadly strike, etc. Fortitude, just the amount of physical it gives us is amazing with everything else. Hard to disagree. I do have Lava Gouts here, which is a different option. So I chose this because I needed a little bit of fire res, and I also wanted a bit more attack rating. So I needed a bit more attack rating, so I filled in charms where I needed, and instead of having a demon limb on switch, I do have my CTA, but I've decided to opt with the Lava Gouts. I felt like that was enough, and it was a bit of a change too. I have dual leech with resistances on the ring. I have string of ears to no surprise with a ravens paired with a gore riders. Similar little four slot you kind of see, right? So as I mentioned, I do have the CTA here, and I do have the spirit. So that is about my gear. So I showed down here, I do have attack damage and attack rating. Some people may be asking, like, why don't you go shape-shifting skills? Why don't you go elemental? And like, this was better stats overall, honestly. So if I used a shape-shifting skiller, like I have here, it actually isn't as much damage. If I go shapeshift here, and then I'll pop this on, bingo bongo, swap this out, I actually get less damage and less attack rating if I go for the shape-shifting skiller. I mean, I can get a little bit more life if I want to recast my werebear, but that's kind of about it. And if I put the elemental skiller in, I can get slightly more cyclone armor, a little bit more cold damage, but overall it's not worth it, so this is how I justified it by going for these in particular. I do have a few resistances there to pack me up, as well as just enough resistances and a few, you know, more attack rating charms at the top. So classic Annihilus and Hellfire Torch. That is about it for the gear and stuff, boys. I think we should get right into it, show you how it kind of functions. You know what, I'm feeling pretty happy with this. I might go to straight to River of Fame. Yeah, I remember that the grotesques at the front have high defense, and they also have they're quite commonly cold resistant as well. So you know, see how we do, boys. See how we do. So let's buff up, because sometimes I forget doing that. We go F, we go G. Alright. Oh, it's so cool to finally make this build. I kind of planned this a while back. I'm like, man, I cannot wait to try a hybrid. It was like when the first patches, when the first like patch notes were released, before like PTR even came out. A lot of people were talking about like, man, we can actually try hybrids. We can do weird shit. It's so cool to finally do it, and it works, and boys, we can recast it while we're actually playing. It's so much fun. It really is. I think we're going to see a few more of these builds, you know, pop up during the ladder, you know, sometime, because they're quite viable in how... They're quite viable in their coverage. Like, for me, splitting the points here across not even maxing out Maul, you know, and not even maxing out Werebear just yet, I still do a healthy amount of damage, and Shockwave is great for crowd control, and then I've got my Hurricane too. Excuse me, does about 2,000. So, I mean, if it's in within infinity range of the Conviction, that's going to be doing close to 4,000. I know, boys, I do have my Grizzly and stuff. I'll summon that. I'll summon that. Bear Bear with me, I'm going to walk past all of these boys. Oh, if only I had leap like the barbarian. Beautiful. Actually, if any of the devs are watching, can you please add like an on-screen timer cooldown so that we can actually see when like Hurricane and stuff are off cooldown? It'd be amazing. Tyler, do any of that? I don't know. Because there's no visual way to tell. There's no timer. There should be a little cooldown thing like in Diablo 3. I'd like that. Every now and again, you'll see those, what do you call it, the volcanoes pop out. That's 5% chance to cast level 18. So that adds a nice little flare on the screen. This is definitely a slower paced build, but it is very tanky and very strong. Even with the skills here, I've got like nothing into lycanthropy, right? Only maxed out werebear, and my health is still at 2500 with about, you know, just about 400 vitality. So you could have your CT on top of that, which I haven't refreshed, and then you could also, you know, max out lycanthropy and use Oak Sage as well. So it's a very tanky build. It's slower, but it hits stronger, and that kind of lines up with, you know, what the devs were kind of planning for the werebear, right? Making the attacks uninterruptible as well is such a nice bonus. If you guys want something that can take hits, that can deal a lot more like crowd control, slaps hard, and has great coverage, I recommend trying this out. Really strong, really safe, quite durable as well. The polar bear druid, eh? That's the way to do it. And just again, the Hurricane does about 2,000 damage, and if they're sitting within conviction range, it's about 3,800. I have my Cyclone here with just all the synergies and plus skills up to 10. It still absorbs an okay amount at 700. Not too bad. I mean, it's sitting at about, what? Maths. It's like, you know, just under a third of our current health pool total. Like, it's not nothing, right? It's not nothing. It's still enough to feel like it's usable and not a waste of points. So I'm happy with that. Why is El Hazir dying? My bro? Not happy with that. Should we pop the monster shrine? Okay. Sometimes I played when I was younger, I'd click the monster shrine and I'd run around and I'd try to figure out, like, I couldn't tell what the monster shrines did. Because I'd just run straight for the shrines, right? And I didn't know that it would change the mob into a champion pack. It took me years to figure that out. It's like, what does a monster shrine do? I like asked my brother, he's like, oh, it makes like a champion pack appear. I'm like, man, it never works for me. Not like, because I thought it would work like the evil urns, you know, like in Act 5. Did anyone think that as well? I don't know. Children are fucking strange, am I right? Or maybe just me. When I was a child, I was fucking strange. I still am, to be honest. Bizarre little human being. As you can see, man, there really is no problem in just slapping down dudes with this. Single target is great. Overall, I feel like this is really good at kind of everything. Bit of a jack of all trades. Of course, being a shape-shifting form in any build, it lacks in mobility. Sadly, we can't teleport and do things like that. But, man, single target is good. Physical damage is good. The sustain is good. The health is good. And with this hybrid, we have good elemental coverage as well as the AoE. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you enjoyed my polar bear build, you know, because if I name it like Dobrunsky, then everyone's going to talk about it, and then I can get mad when people steal this and don't give me credit. Well, thanks, boys. Love you, as always.